person's on in the background, so I imagine you'll be picking up background noise from that. But I thought, well, maybe I better just turn it down, or it won't be a big problem. Anyway, this is the beginning of a letter to Hank and Joe. Dear Hank and Joe. Side 1, you might say. I got your card, your birthday card. Thank you. You asked me to tell you more about the girl in Salem. Her name is Marilyn Cook. She's divorced. She's 30 years old. Our relationship has cooled somewhat. We still see each other. We still, get together occasionally and go out. But I think when we first met each other, we kind of, I don't know, I guess we were infatuated or something. We kind of got carried away, and once we, I don't know, maybe realized what we were about to do, both of us kind of got scared and backed off a little bit, I think. Which is fine. That's fine. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. I keep thinking I'm ready, but when I get into a relationship, it appears to be the possibility of getting rather permanent when I seem to get out of it in a hurry. So maybe I really like being single. There's good points and bad points, as there is with being unsingle. Good points and bad points. And I don't know whether the good points of one outweigh the bad points of the other. I don't know. I'm not sure. And I guess nobody ever will be. If anybody ever made up their minds one way or the other for sure, then I guess that would change the world drastically, I suppose. Anyway, she's very intelligent, I don't know how much I told you about her before, I don't remember, but she's a very warm, intelligent person. She's reasonably attractive, although no centerfold. She has very good etiquette and very good social abilities. She seems to be able to get along in any crowd. She can talk with almost anybody. She can carry on an intelligent conversation about everything from Shakespeare to racing cars. So she's a fairly well-rounded individual, and I get along with her very well. We haven't had any what you'd call major fights, although we've had some disagreements. And I think we've tended just to develop a really good relationship, a really good friendship, and really go from there. So I don't think that's anything to get excited about. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything waiting in the wings. There's nothing serious about to happen. I wouldn't worry about that. I am still driving. I think I'm still driving a taxi cab. The company sold a couple of weeks ago, and the new people asked me to stay on, and I told them I wanted to work less than what I had been, because I've been working 48 and 62 hours a week, and I told them I didn't want to work so much. I wanted my weekends off. So they said fine. So they put me on a 3-day schedule, 3 12-hour day schedule. And the first week I worked my 3 days, and the second week they called me on Monday, and they said, not to come in on Monday. Okay, that's fine. And then they called me on Tuesday, which would have been my next day to work, and said, don't come in on Tuesday, we'll cover you. And I said, fine. And then they called me and they said, don't come in until we call you and tell you to come in. So I guess I'm kind of on emergency standby or something, which is fine with me. I'd kind of, I haven't actually gotten burned out on it. I like driving the taxi. It's fun. But summer's coming, and I just assume work less anyway. the main reason I was working as much as I was is because I hadn't gotten my check from the government. They switched me from compensation to retirement back in September, and it took them until the last week in April to send me a check, which was like almost 9 months. And so I was getting very poor. I wasn't being able. I hadn't even paid my rent. I owed almost $1,000 in rent when I finally got my check. But now I've gotten it. I'm all caught up. I've got my rent paid. I've got all my bills paid, and I've got some money in the bank. And I'm getting a check every month now on the 1st, so I'm doing fine. I don't really need the money. I can live on what I'm getting. So that's good. I'm okay. I'm planning on taking a trip this summer. I want to go down and check out Las Vegas and Phoenix, mainly just to check and see which of those two cities, if either of them, I would like to move to. I want to check out the living standards and rent and things like that. I want to move to a warm climate. I find that when it's warm out, my back doesn't bother me. And I think if I moved down there, I could probably live year-round without my back giving me a bad time. If I bought a trailer, I bought Dad's 15-foot trailer, and if I take my trailer, if I drive, I will probably just go to Las Vegas and Phoenix, and that's it. I am considering, however, not taking the trailer and going by bus, because I can buy an Ameripass on the bus for about $300, which would give me 30 days to go anywhere I wanted to go on the bus, go back and forth anywhere I wanted. And if I do that, then I may go ahead and get on the bus and come on out to the East Coast, because I have plenty of time to do that. But I don't know. I don't really like the idea of traveling by bus. It doesn't give you the opportunity to take side trips and whatnot. Although with the Ameripass you can go anywhere you want to go, so that might be okay. I'm still considering it. But it also means that you have no place to stay. If you get somewhere, you don't have any place to stay. Where when I've got my trailer, I can stay anywhere I want. So I don't know. I'm still juggling that around. So there's still a possibility I might make it out there this summer. I don't know. I know I mentioned to you before that I kind of halfway expected that possibly the money on the house would come through in February, and it did not, which means it will be at least September, possibly October, before the money comes through on the house. I am fairly certain that the money will come through. The guy is supposed to pay me. If he doesn't, then I'll have to, I guess, repossess the house or something. I don't know exactly what I have to do, but that could turn into a big hassle. But I'm sure the guy's wanting to borrow money to pay me off at as low interest as he can get, and he's not in any hurry because he's only paying me 11%. So I'm sure he's waiting until it comes down to about 14, and I don't know that it'll get that low over the summer. It is supposed to be taking a downturn. The interest rate's supposed to take a downturn, but I don't know that they'll get that low. So I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. I can only guess at what might happen when the contract balloons in September. Anyhow, so I'm living in this apartment house in McMinnville, and they're filling up the swimming pool right now. It's got a swimming pool, and although it's not a real classy joint, but it's okay. It's a little expensive. They raised the rent on me. Although I suppose the rent's pretty cheap compared to things in the East Coast. I'm paying $235 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, unfurnished, just appliances. But that's not too bad. I think on the East Coast it would probably be a lot more, and I'm sure even in Portland it would be a lot more. So, that's the story for now. I used a much longer tape this time, so I've got quite a bit of tape left. I think what I'll do is shut the tape off and wait until something occurs to me to tell you. The last one I sent you, it was really a mess, I know. I started it, and then I started halfway through the tape and went around the other side, and geez, I held on to it for a couple of months before I got around to mailing it, and I hope you could figure everything out in there. I don't know whether you guys, maybe you don't have a tape recorder, I don't know. I hope that if you do, you'll tape a letter and send it back to me. That's what this is all about. Taping letters and sending them back and forth. So, and it's, I don't know whether you have it, if you have a cassette recorder, let me know. If you don't have a cassette recorder, then I'll figure out something else. I don't know, you must have had something to play the last one on, though, because obviously you heard it. But I enjoyed, it was kind of fun making it in the taxi cab, driving around. It was kind of neat. I enjoyed that. Anyhow, I'll shut it off now and wait until something mind-boggling occurs to me to say. Well, this is about a day and a half later now. I guess I don't need to hold this thing in my hand. I can set it down over here. There we go. I think you'll still be able to hear me. It's about a day and a half later, and last night I went out to dinner with a friend of mine, Buster Starr, who runs the Greyhound bus depot here in town. Being a taxi driver, I spend a lot of time at the bus depot, not only picking up passengers there, but when I don't have anything to do, and when I'm in the cab, I drop in there, and we always have a pot of coffee on. I'll sit and drink coffee and talk to him, and then they call me on the phone there at the bus depot if I've got to run. So I got to know Buster and his wife pretty well. Anyway, we wind up going out to eat a lot. So anyway, last night we went out to the Shakey's Pizza. Anyway, the guy who owns Shakey's Pizza is opening a theater here in McMinnville, a Tri-Cinema Theater. Which we need very badly because there's only one theater in town and they don't operate all week long. And anyway, to make a short story long, he's looking for help. He's looking for people to sell tickets and people to usher and whatnot. And he says he can get all the help on the weekends he needs people who can work during the week. And so since I want my weekends off, that sounds like a pretty good deal. So I might quit driving the cab since I'm not making any money doing it, and since these people don't seem to need me anyway, I might quit driving the cab and start doing that. So we'll see how that works out. There are a couple of other possibilities which I've been looking into. I was down to Newport, Oregon the other day. This is now all several days later from when I was talking to you before. Well, I was down in Newport, and they have a cab company in Newport where they have a real difficult time keeping help, I guess. The problem down there is, of course, that most of their business is in the summertime, which would be the time when I would want to be off. But anyway, I was talking to the fellow down there, and he seemed interested in possibly hiring me as a cab driver. But like I said, it's mostly summer work, because that's when they have people in town, and I think I'd like to be off in the summertime. And we're here your busy time of the year is in the winter. And in the summer, the cab business gets real slow because the weather's nice enough, people will walk. But in Newport, it's just a matter of that's when the people are in town. So, I don't know, there's something else. And also, you know, I've still been considering moving down south, and I was talking to a fellow just the other day that said there's some job openings in a couple of the casinos down there for security people, and he says they don't want ex-cops or anyone that's working in security in other places. They want to be able to train people their own way. So that's another possibility. You know, just things I've been kicking around. I don't know. I haven't really decided. Maybe when the money comes from the house, I might look for some kind of small business to buy. I don't know what I'd like to get into, but I think the tape just stopped. I'll have to look. Also, another thing I'm going to look into. A couple weeks ago, I had two guys in my cab that their job is they pick up and deliver automobiles cross country. They were delivering a car here in Mac, and they had to get to Salem to pick up another one. So they hired my cab to take them to Salem, which is a pretty good fare, about $35 to Salem. So I was talking to them about it, and they don't do repossessions. They just do, usually it's people with a lot of money who, my batteries are going bad, I think. I'll get back to you. And I don't know why, but for some reason the battery light is blinking on my machine. Maybe my batteries are getting bad. Anyway, what they do is people who want to have their cars customized, or like maybe maybe they bought the car and they decided they didn't want it anymore, and so they're sending it back or stuff like that. And anyway, they pick them up and they deliver them. And from what they say, it's an interesting job, and if you like to drive, you know, it's not bad. And the pay's pretty good, so. And they can work just about as much as they want to. They don't have to work. It's not like a 9-to-5 job. I like that idea. So I'm looking into that, too. Well, anyway, this is several days later now. Sometimes it takes me a while to get around to this. As far as the movie theater thing went, I went out there on the day that they were taking their applications, and there was about 6,000 kids there, high school kids, and I was about 5,999th in line. So I decided I wasn't going to wait. Probably took them 2 days to process all them people. I decided I didn't want that job that bad. So that's out. But there's a couple other things that I'm looking into. But like I said, I'm not really interested in working during the summer anyway. I took the summer off and wait until I see what's going to happen. I just talked to Mom the other day. I was in town, and she tells me that you guys are coming out on the 4th. That's the first I've heard about it. Or on the 2nd, I guess. So I'll put off any trip I was planning until you guys go. I don't have any set schedule I have to adhere to. I'm walking around in the apartment here. I don't know. Hope you can hear me okay. Just a second here. Okay. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I have your flight time and all that, and so I'm going to try to meet your plane in Portland, if I can. I don't know exactly where it is you're planning on going from the airport. I understand Mom and Dad are not going to be home until the next day, so I don't know where you plan on spending that night. But wherever it is, well, I've got a pickup truck, so I won't be able to ran out of tape right in mid-sentence there. The noise you hear in the background is my pickup accelerating. I was driving down the road, realized I ran out of tape, so I pulled over and turned the tape over. I'm accelerating again back onto the highway. What I was saying is that since I drive a pickup, I wouldn't have room for more than one of you, but I'm sure that I imagine Arlene and Joe will be there to meet you also, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of room. But I'm just listening to the radio, and I understand now. See, this is a couple days has gone past now, and I understand that there's a chance of a strike in the comptrollers. And if that happens, there's no way of knowing how long that strike will last, and therefore no way of knowing whether or not you'll be able to get your flight when you want to. In fact, if the strike lasts very long at all, I think it's a fairly safe assumption that you would indeed not be able to get your flight at the time you're planning on. So I think that you'll probably have to let people know at the last minute what flight you're going to catch and when it's expected in, so that people will be there to meet you if indeed you're not on the regular scheduled flight that everybody is assuming that you're on. I understand it comes in at flight 86 or something at, I don't know, 10:30 in the morning. I can check with Mom, she told me once. But on the morning of the 2nd, I guess. But anyway, I wasn't the first. I don't know. I'll check with Mom. I'm sure she'll fill me in on all that. Arlene or one of them. What I'm doing right now is I'm driving back from a place called Scoggins Valley Park. The Dotson Pickup Club that I belong to is coming up here next weekend for a picnic, and I just drove up. It's only a few miles from McMinnville, where I'm living, and so I drove up to take a look at the place and kind of scope out where we might have our picnic. And I found a pretty good place right where there's a boat launching area. I've got a little rubber raft, a little rubber boat that will accept a motor. You can put a transom on it. I've got the transom, and I got a little electric motor that runs on a 12-volt battery. And well, it's no speedboat, but it moves along, and so it's kind of a fun thing. I can take it up and stick it in the water. And as long as we're getting good weather, it's been terrible weather. We've had no summer at all so far. In fact, today it's 75 degrees. That's one of the best days we've had so far. We're getting a little sunshine, but it's just our weather has just been awful this year. It rained almost all week during Rose Festival, and the weather's been so bad that Mount St. Helens has been acting up, and they aren't even sure exactly what all is going on because it's so overcast they can't see. I understand there was some lava flow up there today, or earlier this morning, but not lava flow that's coming out of the mountain. It just flows. It flows basically up into this dome that's building down inside the crater. And I don't know how well informed you are back there about Mount St. Helens. It's something that we live with daily out here. I mean, we hear about it almost on a daily basis. Especially when anything is going on up there at all. It's something that we have to live with. It's kind of a strange thing to live under the threat of a volcanic eruption, although it's not this far away from it. It's not all that threatening unless it should really blow again real large and send out a lot of ash. It could be a serious situation, but it's not like, I don't think, life-threatening kind of thing. It's one of those things that could easily screw up your plans if you were planning on going to an area and it gets covered with ash. It's a real problem because the streets are treacherous, very treacherous. I drove in the ash the second time that it went pretty big up in Capilano. I drove up there to take a look at it, and there was It's hard to imagine, but there was literally an inch to an inch and a half of ash on the ground. And when you say ash, you think of ash like what comes out of your fireplace, and it's not like that. It's more, it's almost like real fine sand, like baby powder, kind of like baby powder. Only, of course, it doesn't smell as nice, and it's not as white. It's more grayish. And when you're driving in it, it's a lot like driving in snow. You don't have good control. You can't stop worth a damn. It blows up from the car in front of you, and it makes visibility almost impossible. If it gets wet, then you've got mud, and I've seen people literally stuck in the mud right in the middle of the street. I mean, maybe they were on a slight incline, and there was, some water coming from somewhere that either rainwater or some groundwater coming up and crossing the street where this ash is and making mud out of it. And I've seen people literally stuck right in the middle of the street, stuck in the mud, and could not move. And that's pretty weird. That's a pretty weird situation. These days, however, most of the ash has been cleaned up to the point where you really wouldn't even know it ever happened unless you're either very close to the mountain where all the real destruction is, or if you're on farmland that got pretty thoroughly drenched with this. The farmers are still having trouble with their machinery. This ash is very gritty, and it just tears farm machinery up something awful. Really bad on farm machinery. And chainsaws, people that go into the woods and have to cut the wood that's impregnated with this ash, their chainsaws last about a tenth the amount of time that they normally would, and the chain is the saw is dull, and the chainsaw itself is sucking this stuff in, and it gets in there, and the piston and whatnot, and it just is terrible on machinery. That's one of the things that you have to be careful of when you do get into the ashes. Make sure you've got ample filters on your automobile. But it's not a breathing problem anymore. The ash is pretty much gone. There's still traces of it, like on top of buildings, flat top buildings. You might see some ash in low areas where the water washes down and it hasn't been cleaned up. You'll see a little ash now and then, but basically it's pretty much all gone. But it can be found here and there. I'm sure you'll see some when you get here. It's not like I said, it's not real prevalent anymore. But there's some around. It can be found, and it's sometimes it gets a little difficult to tell the ash from just plain old road dirt. But every now and then you'll see a flat top building if you're crossing a bridge or something. You'll look down on a flat top building, you can see it's still covered with ash. Anyhow, I kind of got off the subject there a little bit. I was up here checking out this place called Scoggins Valley Park. There's a big dam here. They dammed up a couple of little creeks and let it fill up and made a big lake they call Hague Lake. And it's a huge lake. It's just west of Hillsboro, or maybe just a little south of Forest Grove would be a better way to describe it, and which puts it just north of McMinnville. And so I just whipped up here and I drove around. It's a pretty place. Lots and lots of good places for a picnic. And I'll bring my little rubber boat up here, stick it in the water, and we'll have a little picnic, assuming, of course, that we get decent weather. That's a big assumption right now. So I'm just cruising down the road here, my little old Datsun pickup. I still am driving Datsun pickups. I got a 79 now, king cab with a 5-speed, bucket seats. Kind of a cute little truck, I think. Sunroof, stereo, and all that business. I don't know if you ever saw my 74. I was It was really a charmer. It was in the Starlight Parade, Rose Festival Starlight Parade, 4 years in a row. Our pickup club, the whole club was in there, and my truck was in there. It was a real dandy-looking machine. But I wanted a king cab, so I sold it. Had it for, let's see, I had it for about 5 years, and sold it for $200 less than I paid for it, so I didn't do too badly. Of course, I put some money into it while I had it, but anyway, I made out all right on it. And anyway, I guess the main thing I wanted to say was about the comptroller strike. Please let us know, how your situation turns out on that. I'm sure we'll know that if there is no strike, then everything's going to be okay. So I guess I might as well shut this off for now. I'd like to think of something earth-shattering. Well, I just went back and played that part back, and I apologize for the terrible sound quality. I didn't realize that sound quality was that bad. I had my window down, and that's why there was so much background noise and so little foreground noise. So in the future, when I'm talking in the car, I'll have to remember to keep the window rolled up. I hope the sound quality on this little section is better. I'll go back and check it and find out. Well, that last section was intelligible, I suppose. It is now Wednesday, the 24th, and it has suddenly dawned on me that if you're going to hear this before you come out here, I better damn well finish it, get it in the mail, because I'll be sitting here with it in the tape recorder, and you'll be here visiting me. So I'm going to complete this today. I don't know how much time is left on the tape, but I'm going to finish this tape today, and I'm going to get it in the mail today. Obviously, you know that the air traffic controllers finished their little dispute, and I guess they're still voting, but at least they're not on strike, and I assume they will not be on strike, and I assume that you will be here at your appointed time, and everything will be hunky-dory, peachy keen. I will do my utmost to be there to meet you at the plane, if at all possible. Things have changed a little bit around here. Met another young lady not too long ago. It's just reinforced my feelings that the situation with Maryland and Salem is not a severe one, otherwise I wouldn't be still looking around. I am indeed looking around. Finally, for the first time today, it appears we're going to get some decent weather. They're talking about low 80s. It has been raining and cloudy and nasty and windy and horrible all spring long, except for one little dash of nice weather. We had about 3 days of nice weather way back in February or something, and it's been nasty ever since, and finally, now, today, it's supposed to be nice. Do I sound like Walter Cronkite? Bringing you the weather? I never heard Walter Cronkite bring us the weather. So, perhaps, when you get here, we'll still have nice weather. Maybe that's not Walter Cronkite. Maybe that's that other guy on NBC. Going on a picnic. Oh, I told you, picnic next weekend up to Hague Lake, and so I'm looking forward to having some decent weather. In fact, one of the things have to do today is get my little rubber boat out, fill up with air, and see, make sure there aren't any holes in it. Make sure it holds air, and get that all ready. And I should drive into Portland tomorrow, and stop at one of the people in the club's house, and do some calling, get everybody informed of exactly what's going on. So I imagine I'll drive into Portland tomorrow. Not much else going on. It's down. This Windmills. There's not much to do here. Really boring. It's just so boring. And it's all right when you're working and you're busy, but when you're not working and you're not busy and you're just sitting around and it's boring, and the boring piles up on top of boring, and there's nothing to do. Well, the only thing to do is to go to bars, and boy, I find I'm already drinking a lot more than I used to because there's just nothing to do but go to bars. There's a couple of theaters, but boring. So, one of the things that helped keep it from being quite so boring was I was headed back from Portland the other day, and there was a young girl hitchhiking her way to Lafayette, which is just down the road. So I gave her a lift to Lafayette, and I gave her my phone number, and by the time I got home, she was calling me, and Lafayette is just about 5 miles down the road. And so we've been getting together. Maybe taken some of the boring out of it. A little more interesting around here lately. Supposedly they're supposed to open the swimming pool today, so I heard. This apartment complex has a little swimming pool, but they broke the heating unit, and there was no way to heat it, and so they put in solar heating. But they've been having a lot of trouble getting it working, and they keep moving up the date when it's supposed to open. It was supposed to open the 1st of June, but they kept moving it up, and always next week, or, whatever. It was supposed to open yesterday, and it didn't. Of course, the weather wasn't all that good, but today it's going to be 80 degrees. They better have that sucker open, because I'm going swimming if I have to jump right through the solar blanket. What do you think of that? Anyhow, I don't have really much more to say, so I think that probably the best thing to do is just to go ahead and close my letter, regardless of whether or not I've finished the tape or not, and get this sucker in the mail. So, I reckon that's what I'll do. See, that I use all of this Western words. See, the Western style is coming back. All that Western hats and Western garb and that, and so then of course you got to talk Western. You got to talk like you ain't got no smarts. That's Western talk, like you're dumb. I don't quite understand how that can be. How it can be in style to talk dumb. I don't understand it. But all these people walk around in Western hats and with shirts with the little V on the back of them, and cowboy boots, and talking dumb, and they're college graduates, and it's really weird. I don't know that I can go along with it myself. I got a cowboy hat. That's as far as I could go with it. I bought me a belt. Bought me a cowboy belt. I can't get into talking dumb. I mean, I except for my own natural dumb, but I can't get into saying hey y'all and howdy and hi partner. I can't get into that. If my voice is a little gravelly, it's because I just woke up this Wednesday morning. Hell, it ain't even 9 o'clock yet. It's pretty rare for me to be awake before 9 o'clock. So my voice is still wah. And but I'm going to get this thing in the mail and off to you, and such as that. I think perhaps if there's any time left on this tape at all, what I shall do is play you some music. Pick out something appropriate, something I like, and play it record it on the tape.